Welcome, 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 everyone. We have Coach Karmen Sanders with us. We are so excited to be able to share her story with everyone. I think too many times across the state of Texas, we have a lot of coaches who don't get to share their stories for various reasons. But we have a platform where we're able to share coaches' stories from not only Texas, from across the country, with a lot of different people in the space, in the different spaces, but specifically because sports brings and unites people together. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce everyone to Miss Karmen Sanders. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So if you would just kind of tell us a little bit about your journey in coaching, how you got started, how you got to where you're at right now.
Well, I started coaching in 2006. I just graduated from my internship or my alternative teaching certification program. I was living in Beaumont, Texas at the time, and I wanted to come back home. I'm from Round Rock. And so a friend of mine told me about a job board, Texas Girls Coaches Association. So I went on there and I was looking for any job that had an area code that was near Round Rock because I wanted to come home. And so I found a job for Salado, which is a really small town, kind of in between Gerald and Belton. I had never heard of it, but I saw that the area code was 254. So I applied because I was like, I know that's close enough. It's closer than where I am. So I applied and got the job. So I was coaching. Salado was just a 2A school at that time. So I got hired to teach speech and coach middle school volleyball, basketball, and track, and then ended up being the high school assistant track coach. So it was a lot, like coming in from my first year, but it gave me the opportunity to dabble into multiple sports. I was a runner. That's all I ever did in high school. That's what I did in college. So I had the opportunity to learn volleyball and basketball and coach multiple levels of track. And we had a lot of success there. I was there for 4 years. We ended up taking a 4x1 to the state meet and winning, which was really cool. We had a long jumper. We had a 200 runner make it to the state meet. And so that was a really good opportunity. And I just kind of parlayed that into a head coaching job. My boss and a coordinator at the time, Cindy Mawini, was basically told me I had outgrown Salado and that it was time for me to go be a head coach. And so I was looking to move to Houston for whatever reason. I moved back, but whatever. At that point, I was looking to move to Houston. And so I got a job out there at Clear Creek High School. The girls track coach retired, and so I got that job. And I was there for 4 years, helped turn that program around. Didn't make it to a state meet or anything, but helped kind of put the program back on the map district-wise. They were kind of on a downslide when I took over. So I was able to get in there and work with Reuben Jordan and turn that program around. And then I went to Pasadena Memorial for 6 years. Kind of did the same thing there. The program was kind of on a downslide. Went there, turned it around, started having some area regional qualifiers pretty consistently there. And then I decided to move back home again. So now I'm currently on my 4th year at Round Rock McNeil, which is actually where I graduated from. So the girls track coach here, Glenn Roberts, retired. And he and I would work together at the state cross country and track meets. And so he told me he was retiring and to apply. And so I did. Sorry, my phone's ringing. And got that job. And then the girls coordinator who assisted me in hiring me left. So I asked if I could apply and interview for the girls coordinator position and got that at the same time. So I ended up coming to McNeil as the head cross country and track coach and girls athletic coordinator. And I'm still here. It's been a journey.
Yes, most definitely. Well, instant connection. I taught speech when I first started my coaching journey, but it's kind of cool to hear your story specifically because you moved from an assistant coach to a head coach to a head coach to a head coach.
Mhm.
And oftentimes we hear these stories with women that are coaching. Number one, because they can't find a whole lot of women that want to coach.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's a dying breed.
yes, yes. Or you have women that started early in their profession, in their career, and then they have a family or they
Mhm.
have babies and it's time to step away. And maybe
Yeah.
they come back, but maybe they don't.
Yeah. I toughed it out, me and my son. He's 18 now, he's a senior in high school, and so we just grinded it out.
And it's tough. Can you talk a little bit about that side of it, being a mom and a coach? What was that like?
Well, when I was here at Salado, my mom lives here, so she was like his second mother, especially
Mhm.
coaching at the middle school level because I was in season all year at middle school, and then I doubled up in high school. So, I mean, doubled up when track season came between middle school meets and high school meets, and so, I was living in Round Rock, working in Salado, so I kept him in daycare in Round Rock so that my mom would be able to pick him up on my late nights, and then that was just how we kind of did it. She would pick him up, and then I'd get him from her house after our games, and we eat, play a little bit, go to sleep. It was rough. Um, but I mean, I'm just fortunate that my mom and my brother were here and willing to help out. When we moved to Houston, we actually moved to Houston because I was getting married to his dad. So that made things a little easier because he was able to, we were all in the same city. Um, but so he would pick him up and things like that from daycare. And the better part about it was that being a head coach, I could plan my practice schedule. So it was easier when I was a head coach, when I could schedule practices around making sure I could get him to school or get him to daycare and pick him up from daycare. Um, or really just leaving if I needed to leave and letting my assistant coaches handle it. So I mean, it got easier as a head coach because I was in charge of my schedule for the most part. So I mean, between that and then, I got divorced and I had friends step up for me. Athletes would babysit my son when needed. I mean, I was just pulling from everywhere. um, but I mean, I was just fortunate that, he's a good kid. He's not a little brat, and everybody loved him, and no one ever minded watching him because he wasn't a difficult kid to watch. There were times when he was at track meets with us,
Yep.
Saturday cross country meets with us, and you just I mean, I've just managed to make it work. Like he's 18 now, so he has a car and a license, so it's a lot easier now. But it's just, a lot of pulling help from whoever I could pull it from, or
Yes.
just bringing them with me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Now, did you find early or even anytime throughout your career that either your administration or people maybe looked at you a little bit differently or gave you a hard time for bringing your son with you?
um, no one gave me a hard time. And honestly, I was just so in the groove of things that I don't know if people were looking at me differently. It was just
Mhm.
I think the only time that I had to have a conversation about it was when I took him with me to the bus barn to pick up a bus.
Mm,
And I was told that he can't ride the bus with me because he wasn't a student at the school or whatever. So I had to kind of finagle some things, and I ended up just making him lay down when I went to the bus barn after that because like
I
lay down in the back seat. I'll strategically park, sneak you on the bus, lay down on the bus until we get off the
mhm.
off the bus lot. But I mean, I've never, other than that, I don't recall anyone giving me a hard time about needing to bring him anywhere. Um, and like I
Yeah,
said, I was such on the go that if anybody was looking at me crazy, I wouldn't have noticed it.
I get it. I
Just
get it.
did
But
what I had to do.
and those are some of the things that we have to consider, right? As women
Mhm,
in this profession is and while you had help for a while you had your husband, but then when you were
mhm.
divorced, then you're back basically by
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
along with constantly asking other people to help out. And it's a
yeah.
village. It takes a lot of people
It
to help.
definitely does. It does. Yeah. I
And
was
I
fortunate
think
to have a lot of good people around me.
yes, in our profession, we are blessed to have our students, other coaches perhaps,
Mhm,
other teachers on campus, people that are willing a lot of times are willing to help, especially when they see you going above and beyond for the students that you're already working with. So
Right.
obviously you also need some help,
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
those are things that, from on the men's side, they don't necessarily have to worry about as
No,
often.
not as much as we do.
Because we're the mom.
Right. We're the full
That's
times. So
that's it. And my husband he was a coach, and my dad was a coach. So I'm a coach's kid. I was always with my
Mhm.
mom. And my dad was coached football all of his career, but that was during the time where you had to splice the tape. So he was never around.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then as my husband and I were coaching at the same time, it was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard. And we were fortunate to work on the same campus. So our son would go from the gym to the field, from the gym to the field, or I'd
Right.
take him on the bus with me. And I had that same conversation. Well,
Mhm.
he's not a student.
Mhm.
Okay, well, if I can't pick up the bus, then someone else is
Guess
going to have
what?
to do it.
Right. Guess we're not going anywhere. Or are you watching them?
Yeah. I mean, those were the
Yeah.
responses.
Yeah.
So I think those are things that, as a young coach with no children, that's something to take into consideration as
Yeah.
you're entering the profession,
Yeah. Definitely.
and really having
Definitely.
some mentors, some people to help you with that. Now, in terms of your career, what are some obstacles that you have faced or challenges that you faced being a woman of color in this coaching profession?
Um, well, initially it was that I was young. And I mean, I loved Salado. I loved my time there, but I was one of two Black adults working there at that time. Um, the other teacher was a home ec teacher. It's not called home ec anymore, but whatever it was called.
Hmm.
But it was a predominantly white area. And so there wasn't a lot of trust in me. Coming into that culture. You
Hmm.
could, I mean, just being around the kids, you could tell that they were not accustomed to being around Black people. Um, I mean, and not like in a racist way, but just kind of in an ignorant, unknowingly ignorant way. They just weren't accustomed to being around a Black person. And so there were times where I could tell that people were uncomfortable with me being there. It took me just being a good teacher and coach and personable for their parents to feel okay with their kids,
Hmm.
being on my team and being in my class. Um, but it was an obstacle in the beginning because I was, just getting my feet wet, trying to learn how to teach, trying to learn how to coach. I'm learning volleyball on the fly, I'm learning basketball on the fly, and I'm dealing with, I guess, the fear, for lack of a better term, from the kids and the parents. So that was the first obstacle that I dealt with. Um, Other than that, I mean, I'm a very straightforward, brash person. So I put myself in a lot of obstacles because of my mouth. So um, you know, I've been deemed the angry Black woman multiple times because, I'm going to say what I feel. And if I feel like you're doing me wrong, I'm going to tell you you're doing me wrong. And, I'm not going to back down until it gets fixed. And so I've been branded the angry Black woman. Um, but I mean, it hasn't stopped me from getting jobs. It hasn't stopped me from moving up. It hasn't stopped me from being successful. I've just learned how to be a fighter, and come to terms with the fact that sometimes people just don't want to see me shine. And I'm just gonna have to kick you down so I can shine. If that's what I gotta do, is what I gotta do. So I mean, I guess those would be my two biggest obstacles that I faced.
Do you think that you've had to carry some of the burden of, some I know you spoke a little bit about Salado and being predominantly white in that community. What
Mhm.
about those students of color in that community? Do you feel as though you had to stand out or be better to be set that standard for them, or help them understand that you can be successful?
Yeah, and that really didn't become a thing for me, honestly, until I got to Pasadena Memorial.
Mm,
And it kind of became like a thing where any of the troubled Black females in the school, they were referred to me. Like, I'm not a counselor, like I was just there teaching and coaching. Um, but multiple counselors or assistant principals would refer the troubled Black females to me, whether they knew me or not, whether they were in athletics or not. I'm just a person they got referred to. And so I realized that, if that was a task that I was going to take on, then I had to do better. And I had to be better about how I handle myself and how I carry myself, because they're literally sending kids to me for mentorship at this point, whether I wanted to or not. And so it kind of became a point where I just had to tell them, like, listen, I appreciate the confidence in me, but I have a kid I have to raise. I have classes I have to teach. I'm a head coach of 2 programs. Like, I can only do so much. And so, like, we have counselors on campus who can help them as well. So, but I mean, it did make me realize that, I need to be a better role model. And just a better person so that I could be able to, properly mentor kids that were sent my way.
Mhm. Did anything in your alternative certification, pre-service training
No.
prepare you prepare you for any of that?
No, not at all. I don't even
And
recall if it was even mentioned. The extra was mentioned. I doubt it was, but no.
now, and what about now as as a seasoned professional, the seasoned coach, seasoned teacher, have you received any sort of professional development that really meets those needs, or any questions, kind of the counseling, the emotional wellness of students to help you deal with that?
No, no, I don't think that I have. I mean, we've talked about the options available on campus, but no professional development on how we can handle it for our athletes. No,
Okay.
that would be nice to have some.
Yes, yes, yes. Because it happens, and I don't think that people really understand the role as a coach that
Mhm.
that we play in not only the students' lives, but in the larger system
Right,
on
right.
campus. There was a
Yeah.
reason they were coming to you.
Hmm. Yeah. Give me the tools, please.
Exactly, exactly. But
Yeah,
they just
because they,
came to
they
you
keep coming.
without any sort of training or support or
Yeah,
resources to
yeah.
help you. Now, what advice would you give your first year teacher self?
Um, don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid to say you don't know. For me, I think I wanted to prove that I was capable and adequate. And so I made a lot of mistakes trying to, handle things on my own. So, I mean, the first thing I would tell someone is don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid to say that you don't know what you're doing, or that you don't understand something. The second thing would be really just from there to just trust yourself. Don't second guess your decisions. Like, if they're wrong, go full force wrong. And, hopefully you have an understanding coordinator who, will correct you without letting you fail or get in trouble. You can, and learn from it. But like, trust yourself. You chose coaching for a reason, and it's something that you're obviously good at because you were able to get a job in that field. So just trust yourself and be confident in what you do.
Awesome. Now, with this coaching and teacher shortage that we are facing, things don't seem to be getting any better in
At all.
in in that regard.
Mhm.
What are some pieces of wisdom or words of encouragement that you would give our aspiring teachers, our students in college that want to become teachers, but they keep reading about all this negativity, all these things that are
Mhm.
taking place in the youth sports world? What could you tell them?
Um, I would tell them that, it's gonna get better. And it's not bad for everyone. It's all in how you handle yourself and your situations. Even, at the worst of times, I've never had issues in my cross country and track program. I very rarely get complaints. I don't know if it's just because they don't feel like it's worth it talking to me because I'm so hard-headed and stubborn, or if they're just truly satisfied with what I'm doing. But I mean, you really control your destiny in this field. And at the end of the day, as long as you're being fair and you're treating the kids right,
Mm.
um, you'll be okay. You'll have a parent here or there who's going to have an issue, but overall you'll be fine as long as you're handling business and being a good person about it. So I would just tell them to be patient because it'll get better. And just don't be deterred by the one or two negative Nancy's that you're going to come across, because it happens to everybody. Don't take it personal. It's more about the complaining person than it is about you.
Mm.
And so, just keep doing what you do, and everything will come to fruition, and you'll reap the benefits of what you've sowed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this one a little bit different. How do you build great ancestors?
That's a good question. How do I build great ancestors? Ugh, explain. I just want to make sure I'm on the right page with this question.
So think about your legacy
Mhm.
in this profession. What do you feel is, it could be the one thing, a couple of things that people remember, your athletes remember you by or about you, that they will carry on and they have
Um,
carried on?
I think that most of my former athletes view me as a mother figure or an older sister. I think what they appreciate the most is that for me, it wasn't just about the sport. I went to everything that they did. I mean, if you were in a choir concert, I'll see you at the choir concert. If you were in a swim meet, I'll see you at the swim meet. Um, and so I think I think my kids appreciated just knowing that it was deeper than the sport for me, and that I cared about them outside of what they could do for me um, on the track. Um, I think they appreciate me pushing them to their limit, showing them that they could do more than they thought they were capable of, and just kind of giving, like, I guess, tough love. I'm harsh on them, but at the end of the day, we're gonna hug it out. I'm gonna tell you I like you a lot. I'll never tell you I love you. I like you a lot, and and that I'm always there for them. And so I think that's just kind of my legacy. It's just giving them tough love and just showing them that they're more than just an athlete to me. At least I hope
Awesome.
that's what they get.
Awesome. And then coach, what are you reading right now? Or if you don't have the time, because I know things are kind of crazy in the classroom and such, and you're getting ready to start, if you haven't started already, track. Yes.
Yeah, we're started. Yeah,
Yes.
we're in
So
it.
what was the last book you read, or what are you reading?
I know. I can't even remember the name of the book. I, I read the back of my eyelids the most, to be honest with you. But I can't even think the name of the book. It's not even anything motivational. But it's about a family, and I think one of the kids is possessed with a demon. So it's not anything,
That's all
you
right.
know, fulfilling or heartwarming. But I mean, it's something to just kind of take me out of the real world. So
Mhm.
that's why I enjoy reading more so books like that, because it's not anything that's really gonna make me think, or so and for the life of me I can't remember the name of it. It's in my backpack, but it's just a random book about a family and a kid that I think is possessed with a demon, and I'm just waiting to see what's gonna happen um, with the demon child. Um, and if I'm not reading, I do a lot of journaling.
Okay.
I'd rather journal than read, so um,
Okay.
I do more journaling than reading.
Very cool. Very cool. And is um that leads me to the last question. What
Mhm.
is something that Coach Sanders does for self-care?
Well, I journal,
Mhm.
and I get my monthly massage and manicure and pedicure, and my facial, and really that's it. I mean, on a daily basis, I journal every day, um, even if it's just for like 5 minutes during my off period. It doesn't really have to be like when I'm at the house, but I always make time to journal. I make time to pray, and If I'm feeling really spicy, I'll color in my coloring book.
Yeah.
I mean, just something little like that. It's been, I've been searching for something to do for me, and I was always trying to do these big, grand, time-consuming things, and I just kind of had an epiphany where I was just like, if I could just, get 15 minutes, like that's better. 15 minutes every day is better than trying to schedule something out and it only happened once a week. So I make time to journal, I make time to pray, and every now and then I color in a coloring book or read a chapter or two out of this little demon child book. Um, but that's it, nothing special.
No, but that's good, because I think, I mean, you said it, these are all things that have nothing to do with the work that you do, because so
Right.
many times we pour so much into our work, so much emotion, and then we in return we receive a bunch of emotions from all of the
Yeah.
children that we serve and the people that we serve, that sometimes we just need that time to get away. I know
Hmm.
some people, they watch shows that are mindless shows.
Yeah.
And I know my husband would always he would always make fun of me because I'd watch, I don't know, at the time, and this was long, way before it got too crazy, but Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Hmm.
Um, and he would
There's
just
nothing
ask,
right.
why are you watching that? Because I don't have to think, number one.
Right.
I don't have to make
Yeah.
a decision on anything. I could just watch
Yeah.
someone else just live.
Yeah. Yeah. And not have
That,
to analyze it or figure
that
anything out. Yeah.
That's it. Not have to answer
Yeah.
a question, nothing.
Hmm.
He said,
Yeah.
but there's so many other things. I said, stop. This is what I want to watch.
Right. Let me be. Let me
Just,
watch these people live.
yes, that's it.
That's all I wanted to do.
Let
Yeah.
me watch them go on vacation, do
Yeah.
whatever they're doing. Just let me watch it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get it.
Yes. So, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, to share a little bit about
Mm.
how you've gotten to your spot right now, how you take care of yourself, and how you leave your legacy with your students, with your athletes. So best of luck to you this season.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Maybe
Yes.
we'll get to practice again sometime. I don't know.
Yes, and hopefully we'll get to see you at the state track meet
I'll
at
be there
coaching.
working for sure. Hopefully I'll have some runners, but I'm always there working.
Yes, yes, but coaching, not
Yes.
necessarily
Yes.
working as a
Hopefully.
volunteer, but
Fingers crossed.
coaching.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.